Hey everybody, this is Forrest out in St. Louis. Hope everybody's ready for an awesome week. So, one of the things I like to do actually every Monday is actually Sunday evenings I do it, but I can talk about whatever part of the day any part of the week that you get into. If you're in sales, or if you're in marketing, or if you're in some type of business or something that you have to interact with customers, or that you have customers who generate an income, it's very important that you set goals of how you're going to generate your income throughout the month, throughout the year, so on and so forth. So one of the things, hey Angela, thanks for swinging by. So one of the things that I found is very important, and I was listening to every morning I get up and I listen to part of a marketing group, and Ray Higdon, who's probably one of the best trainers in marketing, gives a training every morning. And one of the things that talk about every Monday, we sort of set goals of what we're going to do throughout the week. And then every Sunday night, we actually fill out our tracker to say where we were at for the week previous. And it's very, very important. One of the things that I learned in goal setting is you have to track everything you do. So like I said before, I've got a really cool tracker that I built in the Google Doc spreadsheet. So if you'd like that tracker, shoot me a private message and I'll definitely get you that tracker along. I'll get you a link. I'll get you a link to it. Basically a video to show you how to set the tracker up, so it's your own personal deal. You have to have a Google account and set up a Google Docs. I like it. You don't have to use it, but it's very important that you track your goals. So five things that are very, very important. 5 reasons why it's very, very important to track your goals. One, you have to know what you're going to do. And one of the things that I found, and there's some sales organizations where the management will come in and tell the sales team how many sales that they have to get. And I'm not a fan of that at all, because there's a whole bunch of things that have to happen to that. So say, for example, and I'll use this on a personal level, if I want to get 20 sales this month in what I'm doing, I'm going to have to be able to have some resource or some way to back that up to know how to get to that 20 sales. So if I do set a goal for 20 sales, which I don't really recommend, it's nice to have that out there as a carrot or a motivator to say, okay, I've got to talk to more people. But to have 20 sales, I need to know how many presentations I'm going to have to do to get that. So let's say, for example, I have a 30% closing ratio. So to get 20 sales, I'd have to do 60 presentations. And out of those 60 presentations, I mean quality presentations to people that actually want to buy my product, not some just like, hey, what are you looking to do, but an actual serious step 1 to step 15 sales presentation, whatever that sales presentation is. If I'm selling advertising on the phone, it's a complete call flow. If I'm doing a person-to-person sale, it's not just somebody walking in the front door of my furniture store where I work and they say, hey, we're just looking. That's not a sales presentation. A sales presentation is a sales presentation. It's front to back, start to finish. So that, handing your business card to somebody is not a sales presentation. If some customer walks out and says, I'm going to be back later, that's not a sales presentation. A sales presentation is actually sitting down and walking somebody through the everything from the what they call in the sales business, the meet and greet when they walk in the front door, to the qualification, to the picking out the product, going through the features and benefits, the entire process of figuring out how they're going to pay for it. If you're in the car business, say for example, they go through the numbers. Are you paying cash? Are you buying? Blah, 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 and they go through that entire process to the point where they're actually driving away in a car or carrying the couch out the front door. That's a sales presentation. So how many of those in a month do you have to do to get to that 20 sales? How many of those presentations do you have to get to? So, okay, if I got to do 60 presentations, how many people do I have to greet? How many people do I have to greet to get to my 60 presentations if I have a 30? And I'm just saying if I have a 30% closing ratio. So how do you know what your closing ratio is? If you don't track how many presentations you do in a month, so the easiest way to do that is go back and look at the month before. So if you had 15 sales a month before, how many presentations did you do? Well, you should have tracked how many presentations you did. And to get those presentations, how many people did you greet? How many people did you actually physically greet? And to get the greetings, how many emails did you send? How many phone calls did you make? How many appointments did you set? So how many appointments did you have to set to get to how many people you had to greet to get to those 60 presentations, to get to those 20 sales? If you had a 30% closing ratio, if you had a 50% closing ratio, then you can collapse that number a little bit. So your closing ratio is up to you. It's how well you get. Now, if you're brand new in sales and you've never been in sales before, your closing ratio is there's going to be a larger gap. In other words, you're going to have to do a lot more presentations to collapse that. Now, the cool thing about being brand new, sometimes your enthusiasm and your energy is so high, people just buy stuff from you because you're excited. And that's sort of like the first month default. You got to sort of move that out of the way because you don't know. However, from day one in any sales, whether you're doing online marketing like my wife and I do with our business in terms of how many people we prospect, how many people we reach out to, and all that, it's very, very important that we know exactly what our numbers are. If we don't track it, you can't measure it. So you can't say, if I came up to you and said, then you're saying, well, I didn't get any sales this month. And I'm like, well, how many people did you do your business presentation to? How many people did you reach out to? How many people did you prospect? How many people did you ask to see if they're open to your product, service, or opportunity? Or how many people did you ask to buy a car? So, or a couch, or whatever it is that you're talking to. So it's very, very important that if you're going to have a goal set out here, that you're able to back into that goal and know exactly how to get to that point. Now, I teach my people in my marketing business, on my marketing team, to do it the other way around. Is because you have no control over somebody saying yes. What you do have control is the prospecting message, reaching out to somebody, say, for example, like Angela. I can reach out to Angela and say, hey, Angela, I'm just curious. I'm expanding my business in your area. I was wondering if you might be able to take a look at what I'm doing. If not, absolutely okay, no big deal. And Angela is going to say, yes, she'll probably say some kind of reply. If she doesn't reply back, that's okay. I just go on to the next person, the next person, the next person. Somebody's going to reply. Now, Angela may have life going on in her life. She may have something going on. That message is sitting in her inbox. I like to call it digital billboards. It's sitting out in her inbox, and eventually, sometime in the future, if she doesn't see it right now, let's say 60 days from now, when whatever she's got going on, maybe she's trying to get her kids ready for graduation, or Halloween's coming up, or maybe Halloween's, whatever it is, she's got life going on in her life, and she sees that message in her inbox. She may then go, oh, I'm sorry I didn't get back to you sooner. It's funny how people apologize for not replying back, which is great. That's very gracious to people. So you may reply back and say, I apologize, I didn't get back to you sooner. I was busy doing blah, 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 blah. Maybe she had a loss in the family, something tragic going on. And it is so cool. And it's just amazing to me how people apologize when they have something tragic going on because they didn't follow up to your prospecting message. And I'm not important at that point. I'm not important at all in terms of anything that I do, because our goal is to help other people. It's not about us. It's about them to achieve the goal. So when we reach out and we prospect somebody, is how do we reach out to them? And it's out there sitting in her inbox. And then the next person's sitting in their inbox, and some people may reply immediately. Some people may say, I'm not looking to do anything right now. I say, great, I hear you're not looking to do anything right now. Can I follow up in 45 days? Or actually, I don't say I can. I say, I'll touch back base with you in 45 days. Cool. And they always go, and I'll put them on my calendar to follow up in 45 days to see how they're going. Of course, 45 days, I'm going to follow up and say, hey, it's been about 45 days already. Amazing how time flies. I was just wondering if you might be open to taking a look at what I'm doing, and just re-engage the conversation. Of course, if they say yes, we send them a presentation, let the presentation do all the work, and the presentation, gets them through the enrollment process, or not. It gives me some kind of indication of how serious they are, and we move on. And as a result of doing that prospecting, we was able to put in a lot of customers in one arm of our business here this last week, which is absolutely totally exciting. So, in the overall deal of goal setting, so what are the things of goal setting we talked about? One is, if you're going to set a sales goal, which I don't recommend. Let me come back to this. So before I go there, like I said before, I'm not a big fan of setting a sales goal. It's okay to set a prospecting goal. So how many people are you going to reach out to? You have control over that. If they say yes, you have control over sending the prospecting presentation. You don't have control over whether or not they're going to watch that presentation. You do have control over the follow-up to that presentation. If they do enroll, or if they do say yes, okay, now next you've got to get them enrolled, and of course you've got to do a follow-up. You have control over that stuff. You have control over how many people you're going to prospect. You can have control over how many people you're going to follow up with. You can have control over how many people you're going to prospect. You have control over how many people you're going to prospect. And of course, if they do decide to enroll and get started, you have control over helping them get through a fast start program to show them how to do exactly what you did to get people enrolled. So going back to part two, if you are going to set a sales goal, of how many sales that you want to get in a month, it's very, very important, if you're more in traditional sales, that you understand how many people do you have to talk to. You need to know what your closing ratio is. You need to know if you need to talk to 4 people to get a sale, 3 people to get a sale, 2 people to get a sale. I don't know anybody yet that has a 100% closing ratio. So if you don't know what your real numbers are, and I'm not talking about just, blowing people off. I'm talking about an actual presentation where you do an entire presentation. How many people do you have to present to get 20 sales? And out of the 20 presentations, how many people do you have to actually meet and get in front of to get 20 presentations? So there's a number. So you might, to get the 60 presentations, you might have to actually greet 80 people. And to get 80 people in front of you, how many emails, how many phone calls, how many messages do you actually have to send out to get 80 people in front of you to do 60 presentations to get 20 sales, depending on what your closing ratio is. So it's very, very important that you track what you do. So I have a tracker that I use, and I track for everything. It's in Google Docs spreadsheet. If you don't track what you do, you don't measure what you do, you're never going to know what your results are, and you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to end up quitting your sales job. Whatever it is, you're going to quit because you need to track what you do. You need to know real numbers. And trust me, when you look at the numbers, when you can go back a year from now and you can look like, oh my God, in January I sucked. And this next January, I'm like, oh my God, last January I had to talk to 50 people. I had to do 50 presentations to get 10 sales. This year I do 50 I can do half of that. I do 25 presentations to get 10 sales. So just because your skill set will change as you go over time. So very, very important to track everything you do. Then, of course, when you get a sale, it's very important that you put those in a trackable log so you can do a follow-up process with your customers, and so forth. Hey, Chris Arps, thanks for swinging by. So, if you'd like the Google tracker that I use, shoot me a private message. I'll get that over to you along with a video that walks you through how to set it up. I did that somewhere in my Facebook timeline to be able to do that. So, very, very important that you track everything you do. If you set a goal, make sure you know how to back into that goal. And I'll close out with this. Never let someone else set a goal for you. If they do, make sure that you sit down with them and you ask them the same questions. Okay, if you're going to tell me I need 15 sales, how many presentations do I have to do? Me, not you, but how many presentations do I have to do? And to have that many presentations, how many people do I have to greet? And if I'm going to greet this many people, how many people do I have to prospect out to? So very important that you understand the process in that and ask those questions, because if they're a sales manager, somebody like that that's going to get some type of commissions because of your results, it's very important that they can give you guidelines and a guidance on how to get to that goal that they set for you. So I just wanted to throw that out at you. You guys have an absolutely wonderful week. Make sure you shoot me a private message if you want that tracking, the tracker that I set up for you. It's very easy. The formulas are all in there. All you got to do is just fill in the blanks, and it does all that stuff for you. It's very, very cool. I put all my super geekness into it. I love you. Jesus loves you. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Live healthy, my friends. Go out and make an impact. Peace. Have a great day. Bye-bye.